You sit alone at a desk under flat office light, your hand resting on a mouse, and a faint sore spot in your wrist keeps tugging at you. You shift your grip. You rotate the joint a little. Your eyes stay on the screen, but your focus drops out of the work and into that small ache. It is minor. It is still loud in your head. And you tell yourself this is just overthinking, a private weakness, a weird office habit of noticing too much. The pain barely changes. Your attention does not leave. It is not random. It is not something office life invented. Long before this room existed, pain and fatigue could mean damage that made movement slower and survival less secure, so the human body carried forward a built-in pull that locks awareness onto a painful spot before the damage gets worse. That old protection still charges a price now, even when the signal is faint and the danger is low. This inheritance reaches back through 300,000 years of human life. It is not a quirk you invented at your desk. It is standard equipment. The same pull lives in nearly every person watching, because the body could not afford to treat pain as background noise when function was fragile and loss carried consequences. That matters because a response installed at deep does not ask whether your world has softened. It arrives already trusted, already automatic, already inside the line between sensation and thought. A tiny warning enters the body, and attention moves as if it has been given orders older than the room around you. So when your wrist keeps drawing your mind away from the screen, the feeling starts to turn strange. A faint ache can still command awareness, because this pull has been with humans for 300,000 years. Minor does not mean dismissed. And it is still alive now, not sleeping inside you, working. You reach for a coffee mug, and before you think about it, your grip changes. You open a door, and the joint stiffens a little in anticipation. You move through an ordinary day, and some part of you keeps checking that one small place, adjusting around it, holding it just differently enough to show the signal is still in charge. The original danger is gone from the room. The response is not. This is what makes the feeling unnerving. The ache does not need to become severe to recruit you. It only has to stay present. Then the body keeps assigning value to it, keeps treating it as information that should not be lost, keeps nudging behavior before you have decided anything at all. So the sore wrist at the desk was never just a thought about pain. It was a live warning response entering your movements, shaping what your hand does next while the ache remains small. You feel the pull again, and a tiny signal still alters behavior in a safe office. To understand why, you have to leave the desk and step into a much harder human world. Out there, a small strain did not stay small just because it started quietly. Hands had to keep gripping wood, stone, hide, and meat. Ankles had to keep taking uneven ground. Shoulders had to keep lifting. Backs had to keep carrying. If a sore spot in the body went unnoticed under that load, the same movement could grind on it again by nightfall, and less function meant less of everything that kept you alive. So pain had to do more than announce itself once. It had to hold on. Fatigue had to do the same. The signal kept pulling awareness back to the wrist, the ankle, the shoulder, the lower back, forcing caution into movement before worse damage arrived. You favor one side. You change your grip. You rest when you can. You stop climbing the same way. Attention itself becomes part of protection, because a body that keeps using an injured part like nothing happened risks losing grip strength, speed, carrying ability, tool use, and escape. In that world, function was thin and easy to lose. There was no spare body waiting behind the first one. The humans whose pain kept interrupting them had a better chance to guard what still worked. The ones who missed the warning could turn a strain into a larger failure. You still carry that pull now. A sore place does not merely hurt. It asks for supervision, and the fact underneath the feeling is simple. Early notice of damage-protected movement before movement was all but gone. You reach toward a hot pan and your hand snaps back before the burn gets deeper. That is not panic. That is accuracy. Heat crosses a line. Attention collapses onto the danger, muscles fire, and the hand leaves the surface fast enough to save tissue that would have been harder to use a second later. The same pattern still helps in quieter moments. A sharp sting in your foot changes your step before more weight lands on it. A sudden pull in your shoulder makes you stop lifting before the strain gets worse. The warning is doing honest work. It interrupts, it redirects. It buys function by making one body part impossible to ignore at the exact moment ignoring it would cost more. That is why the response survived. It is not some useless leftover twitch. It still prevents extra damage in a world full of knives, stairs, burners, curbs, glass, and fast mistakes. The system does not wait for a speech from your conscious mind. It moves first because delay is expensive when tissue is already under threat. You feel that same takeover in your body now. The narrowing of focus, the quick change in movement, the sense that one spot has become urgent. One clean warning can still spare a hand, a foot, or a shoulder from becoming less useful by the next minute. Then you are sitting still, doing nothing that should demand escape or defense, and a mild ache in the wrist keeps pulling your awareness back as if the moment were not safe. The room asks for almost nothing from that joint. Your body keeps acting like the signal cannot be demoted. You read a line on a screen, drift into the sentence, and then your attention drops out of it and lands on the sore spot again, not because the pain surged. It stayed small. The return happens anyway, the same warning pull reappearing without a larger threat to match it. Then a second sign shows up in movement. You reach for a water bottle, and your hand approaches it carefully, with a slight hesitation and a changed grip, as if an ordinary lift has become a task that needs management. The object is light. The caution is real. You feel the residue in your own body now, the checking, the guarding, the mind circling a minor signal that has not earned this much space. The old protection still knows how to save you. It has not learned how small a modern danger can be before attention starts paying too much. It stays with you after the task should have won. In a meeting, you rest your forearm on the table, someone across from you is talking, and the sore wrist starts pulling again. You keep your face still. Inside, attention keeps dipping out of the conversation to check the joint, test the angle, measure the ache. The pain stays mild. The cost is not. You miss a sentence. Then another. Focus breaks because the warning outranks the room. Later, you stand at a checkout, hand over a card, and feel yourself preparing for the small turn of the wrist before it happens. The movement is ordinary. Your body treats it like a point of risk. Fingers stiffen. Grip changes. The action comes out careful and slightly strange. Nothing tears. Nothing fails. But energy is spent managing a signal that never became urgent. The warning has started charging effort just to pass through a normal day. Then a phone is held out for a group photo. People are waiting. You lift your hand, feel the sore spot, and attention rushes straight back into it. Now the price is speed. You hesitate for a fraction of a second. You adjust your hold. You become aware of the joint and of being seen doing it. A tiny ache has taken your hand, your timing, and part of your mind. You feel it in your body now, that narrowing again, the little pull downward into one small place while other people keep looking at you. Pain lasts longer in awareness when attention keeps returning to it, and a warning system that is fed repeated checks does not quiet easily. Someone is watching you sign your name on a receipt, and before the pen touches paper, you are already bracing the wrist. That is the answer to the mismatch. The warning pull does not wait for proof that the threat is large. It was built to treat repeated use of a sore part as enough. Modern life keeps presenting the same condition in softer form. Hands still have to type, tap, grip, swipe, carry, and turn objects in front of other people, again and again, all day. That is why knowing better does so little. You can tell yourself the joint is not in danger. You can decide to ignore it. Then the hand reaches for a bag in front of a cashier, the wrist speaks up, and attention is taken before the thought finishes. The old rule sits lower than reassurance. Use plus soreness still means protect function. So you try the other strategy. You avoid the movement. You keep the hand still at dinner while people talk around you. The cost changes shape instead of leaving. Now awareness waits on the wrist, tracking the next lift of a glass, the next pass of a plate, the next handshake, the next moment the joint will be asked to work where others can see the hesitation. Avoidance does not switch the signal off. It clears space for surveillance. You feel the second trap in your own body now, not just attention captured but choice narrowed. Because the same kinds of small hand demands keep returning, and the warning keeps treating each one as unfinished business. The modern trigger is common enough that the response can be renewed many times in a single day. By evening, it is no longer just a sore spot. You are at a restaurant, someone passes you a heavy plate, and in the instant before you take it, your mind is already on the wrist. The weight may be manageable. The warning does not care. Attention contracts. Grip changes. The movement gets rehearsed inside the body before it happens. Then the plate is in your hand, the ache flickers, and the joint stays lit in awareness through the rest of the exchange. That is the full price. A small pain does not stay small inside the mind when warning keeps assigning it priority. Attention is captured. Movement is guarded. Ordinary actions become monitored. The body part remains present long after the moment that first raised the signal. Protection turns into a loop. You check, you brace, you test, you feel. Then the next use pulls you back in again. The burden is widespread because pain itself is widespread. Around 1 in 5 adults lives with chronic pain. Low back pain alone affects about 619 million people worldwide. In the United States, about 39% of adults report back pain, and about 36% report lower limb pain. Not every ache becomes a loop like this, but the raw material is everywhere. So is the attention it recruits. You feel the close of it in your body when someone is waiting for you to take the dish, sign the paper, lift the bag, hold the phone, and the risk becomes bigger than the task in front of you. Pain demands attention. Attention can intensify pain. Then the next small signal arrives.